With word in the last 24 hours from Shams and Daniel Greenberg that the Chicago Bulls are more expected to add to the team at the trade deadline than take away from it, all Chicago Bulls fans are wondering can the Bulls get involved in the Kyrie Irving sweepstakes? We're going to talk about that, preview today's game against the Portland Trail Blazers, and dive into the mailbag. All that and more on today's episode of Chicago Bulls Central.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bulls news and content.
All right, Bulls fans, welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central. I'm the host here, Hayes, and right off the top, usually we do our game previews first, but right off the top today, we're going to talk about Kyrie Irving demanded a trade from the Brooklyn Nets, and naturally, all Bulls fans are wondering, can AK work some magic to get Kyrie Irving to the Chicago Bulls? And here's the thing, whether it's possible or not, or it ends up happening or not, if AK is not at least on the phone trying to add some talent to this team, and the question I'm going to throw to you guys is this: Kyrie Irving is not a perfect player by any stretch of the imagination. And I know a lot of Bulls fans look at DeMar DeRozan and they don't want to send DeMar off. But if you can do a package around DeMar DeRozan, do you then trade for Kyrie Irving? With all the word, everything is that the Bulls want to add to this team. Now, I get that. That was before a talent like Kyrie Irving demanded a trade. And it's really going to send this NBA trade deadline into a tailspin in many ways, because this was a trade deadline that a lot of people thought and expected may go by pretty quietly. But now, since Kyrie spoke up and demanded that trade, and we're 5 days away from the trade deadline, everybody's on their eyes and now looking on their heels. All GMs around the NBA are wondering what can they do to add Kyrie Irving to their team. Now, it'll be a huge surprise if the Bulls are able to swing it. And actually, it'd be one of the biggest pivots AK has ever made in his career of leading teams. This all goes all the way back to Denver. This is the type of move that can either make or break your franchise. Now, if the Bulls do trade for Kyrie Irving, they have to look at a couple of things. He is a free agent at the end of the year. But as we know with veteran players, you can extend them at any point in the season, meaning that I think if any team is going to move the assets to get Kyrie Irving just to match that contract, they're probably going to want at least a 1, 2 year, probably even 3-year extension involved in those talks before the deal is even finalized, just to make sure they're going to be able to lock in Kyrie Irving for a nice amount of years before making a trade, and that commitment for moving that contract, and a player that still has a lot left in the tank. We know Kyrie Irving isn't, the personal life and the things up and down can be a bit maddening for fans. It can be a bit maddening for players on the team, and it can sometimes distract from the team. But when you look at the Chicago Bulls and the fact that the thing that we are missing on this team is not only a killer, but also somebody who is the level of talent that other players are going to want to take less to come and play with. But on top of that, the Bulls don't have a talent like Kyrie Irving. As great as Zach LaVine can be as a scorer, he's not nearly the type of player that Kyrie Irving is. And so I'm not even going to get into what and who the Bulls should move to get there. Yes, there's a couple of different ways they can get there. Technically, a swap of Kyrie and Zach LaVine work outright. The Bulls, if the Brooklyn Nets looking to get something back for Kyrie Irving, and maybe would take a flyer on Alonzo Ball, and that be kind of the opening. Then maybe you still do add Kyrie Irving. You have to do some other things on top of that to a team without really giving up much talent. When I look at what AK does, and I know this is going to frustrate a lot of Bulls fans, but I don't think if it comes to like giving up a Vooch and a DeMar for a Kyrie Irving, I don't think AK is going to make that deal. Not saying that I don't think he should. I think when you look at this team right now, this team is missing a near generational level talent. And while Kyrie, I know some people view him as that, and he's a damn good one of the top. We still say he's one of the top 15 to 20 players at the least, one of the top 20 players in the NBA right now. You add a veteran to your team that just has just the ability when he's on the court. The biggest thing is just, are you going to bet that he's able to stay on the court? So I know a lot of Bulls fans are going to ask about that. That's why I wanted to attack this right from the top. And I do think that AK should pick up the phone. Now, if the deal ends up getting done, I don't know if some of the other teams around the NBA decide to make a pivot. If the Bulls can offer what some of the other teams can. We already know the Lakers are going to be involved in the talks and try to make something happen there with their 2027-29 and the Russell Westbrook contract. It's going to be some combination of those assets to try to get Kyrie Irving in. But the Bulls should absolutely be on the phone. And if they're not on the phone, then that is a problem. Like I said, when either make the trade or not, that's completely just out of the Bulls' hands, right? You can't make a team make a trade with you. But if the Bulls aren't at least on the phone, if AK is not at least on the phone to try to talk to the Brooklyn Nets about it, there's some issues there. So that's my thoughts on that. But let me know what you guys think on everything down below. Please sound off on your thoughts on the Chicago Bulls potentially going after Kyrie Irving, and what would you be willing to give up if it meant bringing Kyrie Irving to the Chicago Bulls and either pairing him with the Zach LaVine and the Nikola Vucevic, or maybe it's at that point you move Zach. Like, just let me know down below what you guys would be willing to do to bring Kyrie Irving to this team. Okay, so we do have a game tonight. The Bulls face Portland, and Portland has Gary Payton II out, Justice Winslow out, and Nurkic are all going to miss this game. Right now, Alex Caruso, P. Will, and Nikola Vucevic is all listed as day-to-day, so it's uncertain if they're going to play in this game tonight against Portland. Now, this is a game the Bulls haven't fared the best against the Western Conference. So this is a game, I know some Bulls fans are like, hey, do we try to play this one or we don't so we can get the pick? You can't worry about that. Right now, where the Bulls are in their season, they have to try to win every single game. We ain't got time to be trying to play chess on if we're going to get the pick or not. You got to let karma work that out. The Bulls need to come in and give the defensive effort that we saw in last game. With the one thing, and I know I say this a lot on every preview as far as when it comes to the game, but it's held true. When the Bulls lock in and play a full 4 quarters of defense, we are a different team. That's just the facts of the matter. And so we need, especially against a team like the Portland Trailblazers that can get hot. Hell, you don't want to be a victim of Dame time. That's just period. You do not want to be a victim of Dame time. And this is a team that already gave up 71 points to Donovan Mitchell and gave Laurie some big nights as well, even though we did win those games. So we have to be locked in. That's just what it has to be. This Chicago Bulls team has to come into this game and every game from now on. And, shout out to it taking the second-year player of Ayo Dosunmu to text all the Bulls players before the last game to just say every single game is important. We need somebody to step up and make sure that every player on this team realizes the importance of every single game in and out. And we need to see that sense of urgency from this team. And if we don't, it's gonna be a long night for the Chicago Bulls, as it has been in so many other contests. Now, this is a team that I do expect Nikola Vucevic to be one of the players that step up big time for the Chicago Bulls, because as long as Nurkic is out, right? Yeah, they still have some very talented. They have a very talented big man down there, and I'm not necessarily saying that, hey, everything else they got it down there is crappy, but and the Bulls can't overlook anything. But this is a game that we should be able to operate from the inside out. We just should be able to. And so when you look at Eubanks now being their starting center with Nurkic out, you still got Nasir Little there who can play some as well for them. Vooch should be able to come in and do his thing. And we need to see that from Nikola Vucevic. That's just what it is. And so play from the inside out with Vooch, which is a key to every game at this point. Hit your shots, pass the ball, move without the ball movement, player movement. Can the big three actually step up and look like a big three again after really Kobe White, Ayo Dosunmu, and Andre Drummond carried the Chicago Bulls to a victory as far as the scoring output of it? We need to see another big game for DeMar DeRozan, right? The recent stretch of up and down games from DeMar DeRozan, just inefficient shooting, him and Zach LaVine, and the turnovers, we need to get that down. And that's another thing for the Chicago Bulls in this game. Can they mitigate the turnovers? Can they keep the turnovers low while they come in and execute on the defensive side of the ball and move the ball around as a team? Those are the things that the Chicago Bulls have to try to do in this game if they want to try to continue and build another winning streak. Now, I'm not saying that it's possible. You guys know I'm past the point of calling Bulls wins or Bulls losses. That's just not where I sit right now with this team. I don't have the faith in this team to be able to predict how unpredictable they're going to be night in and night out. But this Chicago Bulls team is going to have to find a way to lock in. They're going to have to find another gear, and we need our big-time players and big contract players to actually play like that, and we need them to protect the ball. No, Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan should not combine for the same amount of turnovers as they have his shots combined. That's just unacceptable. And yeah, I'm not going to sit here and act like it's been one of these things that's happened in a ton of games, but the fact that it's happened at all, yes, players can have cold nights. But the thing that players need to do, if you're not shooting the ball well, you have to protect the ball. Set up your other players. Do we still get role players to step up in major ways for the Chicago Bulls? Can Patrick Williams play the brand of defense that we're going to need him to play to make sure that Jeremy Grant doesn't cook our asses, right? These are the things that we're going to need to see from the Chicago Bulls today against the Portland Trailblazers. And I have faith that the Bulls can do it. It's just with this team, it's always been, will they do it? And if they do, they usually come out looking pretty good in it. So let's see if the Chicago Bulls team the good version of this team that we like to see actually shows up for this team and for us tonight against the Portland Trail Blazers. All right, that's enough of that. Let's go ahead and get into the mailbag for today. This first voicemail is from the 925.
Hey, Hayes. I know last time I called in, I was talking about how we need to get rid of Billy Donovan, and I think we all know that that's obviously not going to happen, but I wanted to kind of expand on why I really been thinking about this more. So, for example, Lauri Markkanen said earlier this season in an interview when he was asked what has made the difference between this season and previous ones, and he mentioned how he stopped enjoying the game and how it became a vicious cycle of putting too much pressure on himself to make the few shots that he was given, and then resulting in missing shots and thus being given fewer shots because he was missing them. And so he never once called Billy Donovan out during the interview, which I thought was pretty classy of him. But 100% in my opinion, that's on the coach for not recognizing that in Lauri Markkanen and trying to help him and coach him instead of giving him fewer shots and fewer minutes and just making things harder on him. I quit soccer way back in high school because my high school had awful soccer coaches. And my freshman year, I started making some mistakes on the JV team, and they moved me down instead of working with me. It's kind of I fell into the same exact trap as Lauri Markkanen by stressing over doing well in the few minutes I got, and then I would end up not doing well. But these were arrogant high school coaches. You can't really expect much, but Billy Donovan is a paid coach. He needs to be held to a much higher standard, and he needs to be able to recognize behavior from different players and know how to deal with it in the best way possible. I personally really like Mike Brown, for example, in his style of coaching. He's done really well with the Kings this season, and he was really good on the Warriors. I saw a video of him earlier this season. He was sprinting down the sideline and yelling at the Kings to turn on the Jets. It was hilarious, but at the same time, I'm like, that's the kind of energy we need from a coach right now. I know we aren't getting rid of Billy Donovan anytime soon. We just extended him, but I just hope his coaching kind of improves a little bit. I think he could do a lot better, and I think it would dramatically help this team, even just keeping the squad as is if we did nothing at the deadline. So, anyways, see ya.
All right. And, I love the voicemail, and you are spot on as far as Lauri and him saying the pressure got to him. But I think we're putting that on BD a little bit too much. I think by the time, keep in mind, Billy Donovan only coached Lauri for one season. I think that it was mainly Jim Boylan that really affected Lauri's confidence. And then by the time Billy Donovan came in, I think Lauri already knew. I think both the Bulls and Lauri knew that was the final season. There was really no structure and no plan on Lauri trying to come back to this franchise. And sometimes you just got to leave. No matter who new comes in, it just seems like the Bulls franchise was scorched earth for Lauri Markkanen at that time. And still, Billy Donovan didn't use Lauri the best either in his one season in coaching Lauri. So some of that definitely goes onto him. And, you guys know, one of my biggest issues with Billy Donovan is the development of the younger players. And that was one of the things that was stated as a reason why they wanted him to come into this franchise was his ability to develop. But for you to say the confidence, going away from Lauri and him only having a few shots, and then if those shots don't fall, it gets in his head. I definitely think that plays Patrick Williams as well. I definitely think it does. Now, we've seen Patrick Williams be a little bit more confident lately. We've seen his shooting come around a little bit more lately for him and the Bulls team, and it seems like that confidence is starting to change when it comes to P. Will. Now, we need to see that over a sustained amount of time before I'm willing to say that it has. But this is why I harp so much on and do talk about so often the fact that you need to run offense for Patrick Williams. We can talk all day. Well, he should be going out. Look, at the end of the day, it's this. You have to build out confidence in players. And before a player can be confident, they have to be consistent. They have to be they have to do those things. And so let build up his confidence by running some plays for him, the easy plays, the pick and rolls, the things that he excels at, and leave him in the game in fourth quarters when you need 3-point shooting, right? That's it. And so Billy Donovan hasn't done that as a consistent level, and it does bring about the questions of, are you doing enough to build the confidence of your young player that you and the front office has said, if the Bulls are going to increase their stock, if they're going to improve as a team, some of that has to come by the improvement and development of these young players. So you have to put them in positions where you have to try to force that development and build that confidence that thus builds the aggression from those players. So let's see. Let's hope that it does. But yeah, you're spot on with that being a concern. So let's move into the next voicemail. This one's from Michael Korn.
Hey, Hayes. How you doing? This is Michael Korn. I always say I've been a fan since 1966. So I was thinking, for longtime Bulls fans, has there been a team worse than this year's Bulls team from a fan perspective? I know there were some years before MJ and then right after MJ left. But even after MJ left, I was able to stomach. I think other fans were able to stomach the Bulls' misfortunes then because we just came off 2 three-peats. This team, man, I love the players individually as people, and I'm just trying to find something positive to say. But yesterday against the Clippers, they were outcoached besides being outplayed. I've listened to your show or the podcast on Lonzo Ball. That's depressing. Hell, I had I tore my meniscus like 25 years ago. Never had surgery, massaged it, worked it out. 67 years old, believe it or not, I still play ball, like, YMCA and park type basketball. And I have no issues. A meniscus, tearing a meniscus is really not that big of a deal. New Orleans knew something, and that's why they were so willing to say, here, go. I'm not a big fan of Acme anymore. I remember all those days of the early days of trust Acme, and I did, but it just seems like something is really funky, and I don't know what it is. Epitomizing just how nutty the situation is giving Billy Donovan, who I don't dislike, but he's not the caliber of coach that the Bulls need. They gave him an extension secretly. So again, Acme's lack of transparency, with Lonzo Ball and his injury, who knows? I'll say this because I really like Lonzo Ball. I'd love to see him playing. Maybe it's psychosomatic. It's in his head because he should be out there playing. I'm tired of, no one really knows, with all his doctors and everything. I think that's a bunch of bollocks, to be honest. Anyway, trying to find something positive, but watching the game yesterday was kind of the sense I think they're going to lose, even when they were up 19, early on. That never felt permanent. And I don't know what it's going to take, but my sense is they're not going to get what they need.
All right. And shout out to Michael Korn for always leaving very thought out voicemails. And he says, is this the most disappointing Bulls team? And, there are teams absolutely that I think overall just their level of play was more disappointing. But the up and down play because of the level of talent on the team and because the expectations that they set early on with their play, this is a very disappointing Bulls team. I still look at the Baby Bulls era as a disappointing one. I still look at that 07-08 Bulls team that was coming off the prior season, sweeping the defending champions in the playoffs. I look at that as being a huge disappointment of a season. And then, the Tibbs era after the Derrick Rose injury, even though we had some teams that, I did want to see, them going on longer runs and stuff, those were very scrappy teams during the regular season, even without their star player in Derrick Rose. So I do have to say this is one of the most, if not the most disappointing Bulls team in my time, in my era. Right. I didn't watch the pre-MJ era. I came in to MJ, so I'm only 36 years old. So, but yeah, as far as the trust in Acme and that going away and waning, I've said it before. I was very in AK we trust, right? In Acme we trust. And now it's just like, it's not that anymore, right? It's not that. You got to show me. You got to prove. I've been saying it almost since the start of the season. All the talking, all the saying the right things from the coaching staff, the players, and AK, that's all cool. But you got to show me. And that's where we are. The blind faith, the blind trust, that's all but gone when it comes to this franchise for me. We deserve to see more. And, not that I'm going to say necessarily that AK needs to make some major moves, even with the Kyrie thing at this trade deadline, but we do need to see you make an effort to add some level of talent to the team because we are missing it. We're missing it, and we need it. And when you look at like some of the players that could leave outright in free agency, you need to try to maybe avoid that by maybe moving them now and getting some talent back now. And that may include Javonte Green. So I need to see AK do something. I've said it before. Where I sit right now, this team needs to be improved considerably between the end of this season, between the trade deadline now to the beginning of next season. That gives you a trade deadline and a full offseason. We have to have drastic improvements with this team, specifically the balance of this team, the balance of this roster, and we need that something that AK needs to be held accountable for. Sit up there and say this team deserves we need to do better. The bare minimum, we need to make the second round. We have to increase, and then say this team, the city of Chicago deserves a championship level. Give it to us, then AK. Go out there, and no, not every offseason is going to be the most active. Go out there and prove it to us. So, yeah, the blind faith in AK is gone. We're in the prove it to me stages now. All right, let's move on from this voicemail. We'll get into the next one. This one is from everybody's favorite. That's my auntie Goon.
Hey, what's the word? This your auntie Goon. Hey, Billy, we got to do something with him. I'm sorry. We have to do something with him. I just need to know this. Why every time the Bulls go on the motherfucker 10-0 run to a 15-0 run, the Billy want to call a timeout? What is you calling timeout for? What is you stopping these boys running for? What the fuck you want to talk about? We running. What the fuck is the timeout for? And then he started his gun throwing that and started to blow me, bro. He coached good yesterday, but some of this shit yesterday didn't make sense for him. What the fuck you take Alio out? He was hot. Kobe White, hot. What you sending him on the bench for? You cooling them off. And then they get back in the game. Now you looking dumbfounded because they missing shots and shit now. That's your motherfucking fault, motherfucker. Your gun throwing that. Do you even know how to coach, Billy? What the fuck is you in the NBA for, bro? What the fuck they're sending your contract? AK and Martin need to look your motherfucking contract over. Because your ass squeaking, bro. Drama, you should have been came at Billy. I don't know what the fuck Billy's problem is with you, but he's a drama hater. He should have been playing you. I ain't gonna lie. Good game yesterday. If we can keep these games up the next 25, 26 games, we can get our ass out of the player. Maybe we can hit to the 6th seed or the 7th seed. I don't give a damn. Just get out of the player. That's all the fuck I'm looking at out of the Bulls. I want to see the Bulls go on this run, be aggressive, stay aggressive, do what they got to do so we can go to the next goddamn level. Billy, you hurting us. DeMar, these turnovers. What the fuck your problem is? You last couple games since the Clippers game. You had 9 turnovers in the Clippers game, bro. You all these goddamn turnovers. You can't handle the damn ball. Every time they double team your ass sloppy as hell with the ball, bro. And then you see 2 motherfuckers on you constantly trying to shoot and shit. Pass the ball, motherfucker. I'm getting sick of DeMar, and I'm getting sick of Billy. I don't know how anybody picked him to go to the All-Star. Just in case, y'all should have picked motherfucking Booch and Zach LaVine, too. Hell, Kobe White and Ayo, too. The fuck is going on? I wouldn't pick DeMar to do shit. That bitch would have went to nobody All-Star this year. But, hey, that's how the NBA goes. You know, they got their favorite players. NBA do what the hell they want to do. Hey, I can't get mad about it. Hey, I just got to go with the flow. But this the only flow I'm going with. Fuck the All-Star. I'm worrying about Chicago bullshitters. This is the fuck I'm worrying about. Chicago bullshitters. If we can keep this look, but our big 3, y'all should have been helping our bench. We supposed to blew Charlotte out yesterday. If our big 3 would have stepped in with Ayo, Kobe White, and Drummond, and everybody else they had punch on the team, oh yeah, it would have went up. Oh yeah, United would have been cracking last night. But they ain't do that. We went on our little run. Charlotte tried to come back. The Bulls realized they went on another run. Hey, I got to keep this mentality up. Without this mentality, without y'all want to play physical and come with y'all heads and don't.
All right. So, Goon airing her issues with Billy Donovan out. And not that I agree with everything 100%. Like, the fact that you call the timeout when we're on a run, that's weird. That's just a weird coaching thing that I'm never going to get over. Some of the taking players out when they have the hot hand is just weird. So, Goon says we have to do something about Billy. Listen, the thing, and I think AK and Eversley saw that we needed to do something about Billy too, and they said, what we need to do is give that man an extension, which has its own concerns. So, Billy Donovan is definitely part of the problem here, and some of the balance issues and the coaching issues and things like that, the lack of development. But Goon said in that voicemail, we have to get out of the play-in, and that's 100% true. We have to get out of the play-in tournament if we can, right? And you can do that. The Bulls can do that. They have the ability to be a team that avoids the play-in tournament. But the fact of the matter is they just don't play consistently enough to get us out. Every time we flirt with getting to 500, we go on a losing streak. Let's see what the Bulls can do, right? We'll see if the Bulls can start making the necessary movements and playing with the necessary sense of urgency and consistency to get out and avoid that play-in tournament. It's really up to the Bulls. They have it. It's all on them if they want to do it. If they choose to take the sense of urgency and understand the moment that they're in, let's hope that they can. All right, let's move into the last voicemail for today. This one's from Kavan.
What's up, Hayes? It's your boy, Kelvon, man, repping the south side of Chicago. And I just wanted to leave a few of my opinions and a few of my thoughts. Man, it's been a really, really rough season this year for the Bulls. You know what I'm saying? I'm a long-time faithful Bulls fan, but, man, this season has been heart-wrenching, man. It's been one of the not better seasons, to say the least, since we lost D Rose. You know what I'm saying? I haven't found myself to be able to watch a few of the games. But last night I caught the Hornets game, and I seen all I need to see. I've seen DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine, be a conflict of interest. I've seen both of their playing styles bump heads with each other. And I think it's time to make a move. You know what I'm saying? I was very high on AK when he came in. I was very high on Everett when he came in. And I think they can get the job done. But what I'm gonna need for Coach Billy Donovan to put his big boy pants on. You understand? I'm gonna need him to go out there and scheme up a defensive scheme that I've seen him scheme before in OKC. That I've seen him scheme before when he was coaching the Florida Gators. I know what he's capable of, and I know what he's trying to do. What he needs to do is to stop trying to put these guys in positions where they will not excel. I've been saying since day one, let them young guys run. Let them young guys burn. As you see last night, Ayo Dosunmu, he's more than capable of being a scorer. He's always been a pass-first point guard ever since I've been following him at Morgan Park High School. Defensive prowess is there. The IQ is there. I need Billy Donovan to let those young boys run. Patrick Williams was a top 5 pick, number 4 to be exact. You let him burn. You let him run. You don't question his ability. You don't question his drive. You don't question his motor. What you do is you go out there and you let him play. You let Ayo run. You let Patrick run. And you let them guys run. DeMar DeRozan, he's a post player, hands down. I love what he's done for the city. I love what he's done for the Bulls culture. But he's not a player who's going to get us over the hump. He's a player, at best, that's going to get us to the play-in or get us to the 7 or 8 seed, and we may be looking at an early round exit, per usual. I'm looking for AK to make those decisions and make those moves that he needs to make up top, and I'm looking for Billy Donovan to let those young guys run. Okay, we're in a position where we're not really fighting for anything. We're not fighting for contingency as a top seed in the playoffs, and we're also not fighting, for a top draft pick. At best.
All right, and Kavan, rough season for the Chicago Bulls, absolutely. You're looking for AK to make moves. Here's what I'll say. I am looking for him to make moves. I don't think necessarily, I don't know, you didn't say it in this, but like the major moves, the completely blowing up the roster, that's not going to happen. But the moves that, unless it's the Kyrie thing, but the moves that I do need him to make is to do something to add to this team to help with the playoff push down the road. You have players that just probably aren't coming back to your team. And I know this is a wake-up call for some Bulls fans. Javonte Green probably is not coming back to this team. Now, it's either going to be him or Kobe. And both of them may not come back, depending on what AK ends up doing. So you have to start looking at some of those things and avoid this team knows if you forecast Javonte is going to want the biggest deal possible, the Chicago Bulls just can't give him that. You have to then try to move on, try to package him with something else and move on, right? That's not to say that I want to see Javonte go. No, because he is a Chicago Bulls player. If there's any player that just brings together how I want my team to play, it's Javonte Green. So, but you have to weigh the risk versus the reward. The Bulls right now aren't at the point where they have the talent level where you can let talent just walk away scot clear. You need to be trying to get something for these players back if you think that they're not going to return next season. And so that's it. And, the coaching issues, the time to make a move, all that, we've talked about that. Something does need to happen for this team, and AK has to do something to improve the team. That's just what it is. And you said the team isn't fighting for anything. No, they're fighting, and they're making the decision to try to make a playoff push. They want to add to this team. They want to win now. That's everything that we're hearing. So no, they are fighting for the playoffs. That's what they're fighting for. It doesn't always look like they are, and hopefully we see that more evident in their level of play and sense of urgency here on the back end of the season. But that's it for me for today on Chicago Bulls Central. Make sure you follow the show at Bulls Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, bullcentralpod@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message or a voicemail to be played on tomorrow's Mailbag episode, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related because of you guys. And like I like to end every episode on, go Bulls. Love you guys. See red. It's game day. Love you guys, man. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.